CEO of a company called RevJet, and Leung is a marketer with 17 years experience, and he's joining us from Franklin Templeton Investments. Please join me in welcoming both Mitchell and Stephen to the stage.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Cool. I got a question. How many of you all use GPS navigation for driving directions? Yes? That's cool. How many of you guys, how long have you been using it? Like 5 years, 10 years, something like that? You guys remember this thing? How many of you ever used a Garmin device or a Magellan turn-by-turn? Okay, and how many use that thing every day now? Okay, we got one. That's cool. These things were cool when they came out, right? They were kind of expensive. They were really novel. They did something pretty awesome. And this is an exciting day, and I got to ask you to keep some of this to yourself, because we're announcing something on September 19th. That's next week. You're going to get a sneak preview. This is one of the biggest things that will have ever happened with marketing technology, right? You don't use that thing anymore. How many of you guys use apps? Waze and Google Maps, right? You use apps because Google Maps, Waze, right? They're much more powerful than the Garmin thing, right? But they're beautifully integrated into an operating system alongside of everything else that you need. And oh, by the way, they don't cost anything, right? So this is pretty cool. So why am I telling you this, right? Who cares? The answer is you care, because you're about to see the very first marketing creative operating system, an app ecosystem. And this will do for marketing creative technologies what iOS and Android apps did for consumer electronics. Okay, well, so what? So what? Well, here's what. We as a community are producing $600 billion a year worth of marketing content, including over $230 billion worth of ad impressions, right? Digital ad impressions, where you're paying billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to buy these impressions, and the artwork is just a guess. It's a bunch of opinions, right? Well, what if the ad impressions and the marketing creative content that we spend hundreds of billions of dollars producing could actually drive 50% or 150% more value with no extra media cost at all? Well, this would be the largest opportunity in all of digital marketing. And by the way, this is not speculation. It's here. It's here. These are real ads run by Franklin Templeton. They look kind of the same. In fact, they're nearly identical. So marketers have gotten a room, hey, can a bond fund rise when rates do? A control and a number of challengers. What if I told you that simply by knowing to run this one, Challenger C, you could drive 50% more engagement, 50% more site traffic, 50% more recognition and impact with these target audiences that we spend hundreds of billions of dollars to be in front of with no extra cost at all? That would be absolutely awesome. This is at the heart of what we call the marketing creative opportunity, and we can now unlock it. But unlocking it requires the most powerful and extensible marketing creative technology that's ever been built, and we've spent the last decade building it and proving it for you. Please consider this a roadmap to how we together will spend the next 25 or 30 minutes. We're going to give you a sneak preview of Orora, the marketing creative operating system and app ecosystem. And then we're going to hear from Stephen Leung over at Franklin Templeton, a 17-year digital marketer who has been working with this technology over the last handful of months. And he will describe for you what all's been going on, so you don't have to trust me, because everybody that stands up here says how great their stuff is. Don't believe me. Believe him, believe other companies. So hello, Orora, and goodbye to everything else, right? So this is over a decade in the making. This is the first and only operating system and comprehensive app ecosystem for marketing creatives. It is purpose-built to power every marketing creative use case, for every marketing creative format. And so now, in the same way that you use Google Maps and Waze, there's an app for that with your marketing creative technology. So Orora's AppXchange will soon be launching with dozens of apps. And these apps are more powerful, much more powerful than any creative technology that's out there and exists today, but way easier to use because they're seamlessly integrated into the operating system in the same way that Android and iOS apps are so much easier to use. And they are available to SaaS subscribers for free one-click install, and again, supporting every single marketing creative use case. And the result is that in the same way that the Garmin device today is overpriced and kind of obsolete, as cool as it is, well, that's what just happened to all other marketing creative technologies. Have you ever used a DCO system? Anybody? Dynamic Creative. Has anybody used an ad server? Has anybody used content production software? Has anybody used workflow software? Has anybody used approval software? Has anyone paid lots and lots of money to try to integrate project management software to manage your creatives and to get your agency together talking to your market? All of that stuff now is overpriced, and it's complex, and it's obsolete. In the same way that the Garmin device became a paperweight. So launching on September 19th is Orora and Orora's AppXchange and Orora Apps. You can now just grab apps, and you're up and running, whatever the use case, with a much more powerful solution that is also much easier to use, and it doesn't cost anything extra. Super cool stuff. Again, don't believe me. Customers have started replacing their standalone legacy marketing creative technology with Orora apps. These are a few that I'm allowed to talk about. Stephen is about to show examples, actual examples of what's been done with this technology. But just to give you a better sense for the breadth here, right? So multivariate testing, again, grab an app. Rules engine, grab an app. Scheduler, same kind of thing. Workflow, stitching together all of your different work. There are 6 different apps that are already populated in the AppXchange and ready to go. So approvals, requests, project center, creative QA center, workflow dashboard. How many of you all work with an ad server? Anybody? Anybody work with ad servers? How many of you love ad servers? They're super awesome, right? So now, yeah, you don't have to worry about ad serving, right? You can just go grab ad server apps right out of the AppXchange, and what you've got is, again, a more powerful, more capable, beautifully integrated set of ad serving capabilities. It just doesn't cost anything extra, right? So the media center, media QA, landing pages, and so forth. How many of you have bought builder tools, like to build creative content, or with your agencies? Again, now you can grab apps, display builder, social builder, video builder. How many of you have bought a digital asset management system, a cloud, right? Yeah, super. You can now grab apps here. By the way, this is an open architecture system, so it integrates beautifully with everything you already have. So for example, if you're already using Adobe, turnkey integration, one click. On the ad server side, if you suppose you're heavily into Google or DoubleClick. Well, you know what? Actually, one of our execs spent 10 years with Google and DoubleClick. He saw what we were doing, couldn't believe how awesome it was, came over here, and the result was a turnkey app to integrate with DoubleClick, one click. The entire media plan is put together. Preview center, the production suite, so iterator. You want to create 5 new versions that have slight differences. Push a button, right? Resizer. You come up with some creative content that looks really cool, but now you have to size it to fit all these different marketing creative formats. Go grab the Resizer app. With a couple of clicks, you've just produced dozens of new, beautiful, pixel-perfect creatives in different sizes, right? Translator. a replicator, on and on. This is going to be more interesting. I'm not going to bore you further with individual use cases, but this is an exciting day. And what you are going to see is just one real-world example of a company that has started using this technology. But next week is the beginning of the rest of our lives as marketers. Because just as the iOS and Android operating systems and those app ecosystems brought to bear much more powerful, but way easier to use and beautifully integrated app solutions for all kinds of different use cases, the Orora operating system and app ecosystem is about to debut its AppXchange with dozens of, again, much more powerful solutions in the form of apps, available for one-click install at no extra cost at all, right? Just grab them. And they are beautifully integrated with one another for every single marketing creative use case and every single marketing creative format. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce Stephen Leung from Franklin Templeton, who's been kind enough to join us. Please give him a hand.
Thank you, Mitch. Just in advance, I'm going to move around a lot less than him. So I'm going to hide behind this podium. So what I'm here to talk to you about is really our experience with RevJet's Orora apps and the OS and what we've been able to do with the system. And for us, it was really a game changer. Today I'll talk to you a little bit about myself, my firm, why RevJet made sense for us. I'll share with you some of the aha moments that we experienced in the creative testing that we've done. I'll share with you some of our accomplishments and finally talk to you about the future benefits that came from our interactions with this whole concept of test and learn and the RevJet OS. First of all, who I am. Just a little bit of background on me. At Franklin Templeton, I've only been there for a couple of years, so not too long. But when I arrived, they were still kind of stuck, not in the Stone Age, but maybe the Bronze Age of digital marketing. And what I brought over to them was, again, 17 years of experience. I think I remember when I was beta testing AdWords in 2000. So I've been in the game for a long time. But my specialty really is around digital brand, digital direct response, and as applicable to RevJet, testing and optimization methodology. Franklin Templeton, we are, frankly, the only thing I want you to get from this slide is we're a pretty big company. And for us, any technology that we integrate really has to go through some serious vetting because of our industry, but also has to be able to scale globally. And that's something that we're able to achieve with RevJet. Within Franklin Templeton, there were a couple of teams that were heavily involved with digital marketing creative. One is my team, the digital advertising team, and our responsibility is really around all things digital globally at Franklin Templeton, reporting analytics, and any in-house management of ad platforms or technology like RevJet. The other team that worked alongside us were our creative services team. This is really our in-house graphic design unit. The team that supported me was housed in Poland, so really we had to deal with a lot of time zones when we were working with RevJet. In 2017, we were tasked with some pretty big priorities, at least big for us. One, and I think probably the most important thing, was to shift from being what we call opinion-driven to data-driven decision makers. And the story I always say is, it used to take a couple of months to get any kind of campaign up and running. And most of the reason why that was because there was a lot of debate and discussion around what was exactly the right message or the right ad to use for that campaign. So we would go and debate, and at the end of the day, the hippo always won. The hippo is the highest paid person's opinion. So at the end of the day, that's how we were doing things. When I arrived, we really decided we want to be data-driven. We want to be a lot smarter in how we're making these decisions. And in doing so, we were hoping that this would increase our speed to market of these campaigns. No more debates. We would let the data decide what works and what doesn't work. And then finally, and as everyone probably can relate to, there's a lot of pressure on media budgets and marketing budgets now. More than ever, we're being asked to basically justify the money that we're asking to spend and show value in what we're given. When we implemented RevJet and the Orora OS, there were a lot of apps available to us. Just for the purposes of my discussion, we only implemented 2 of the apps. That was the optimization suite and the ad server suite. Now, I'm hoping these are aha moments for you too, but this was pretty interesting for us. I'll share with you some of the early tests that we performed. One of the things that we learned, and I kind of maybe knew this from my experience, but at Franklin Templeton, it was really a challenge to kind of get the executives to understand that ads that look similar, like these ads, are actually quite different. The headlines are different, the call to actions are a little different. To them, the colors are the same, they're all kind of geometrically boxy, they're all the same. What we saw was that 44% lift came from one of the challengers. So really what this told us, and again, one of the kind of the big moments here was headlines matter. You would have probably normally said, oh, image, I remember we used to spend so much time debating images. Oh, this image just means more, this person's looking in this direction. Really, headline matters. Another interesting thing is to learn that creative that looks different, like the first 2 ads on the left, might not perform the way you think they'll perform. Again, just looking at them, you have one with an image of a robot, one with illustration of a robot. And I remember the agency that built these for us, they kept on saying that the pink robots were going to by far do the best. Our execs thought the image would do the best. We decided to use RevJet to kind of break the tie. And what we just found was that there was only a 1% difference in the CTR. That really, what seemed really important at the time, or from an opinion, really didn't matter that much. That third ad is basically the end frame of these 2 animated ads. I just, literally as a wild idea, I just threw it in there to the mix to see how it would do. And what happened was that it actually ended up performing 10% better. So, I think the culmination of these early tests, along with this kind of wild idea actually working, really opened our eyes and really impressed upon us how important it was to be creative and flexible and again, be data-driven, but most importantly, have a platform that will allow us to execute all of these tests. Now, in addition to just creative learning and what ads do better, we use a lot of their apps in relation to creative kind of evaluation. And what this app is showing is a heat map of this interstitial that we ran. And the upper right-hand corner, you see the hot zone. That area is actually where people missed the close button and actually clicked on the ad instead. What we saw from looking at this heat map is that 47% or up to 47% of the clicks that were generated from these ads came from people just missing the close button. What happened and how we used this information was really to optimize our media. Our agency was telling us how great the interstitials were performing, how we should need to move all of our money into this. And yes, the click-through rates were really, really high, but well, if 47% of the people don't want to be where they're being sent to, then there's not much value in that. Now, we looked at, and now that we're able to actually quantify what that actual number is, I'm able to see their recommendations and really make a good decision on when it made sense to actually use the interstitial and when it made sense to optimize out of it. The other thing that we learned was that people actually do click on the CTA. This is, again, another opinion-driven decision that we had where we said, oh, people always know to click on display ads. You don't need to put a CTA there. But again, people's behavior on this heat map clearly shows that they do click on it. And frankly, future testing that we've done showed that the CTA really does matter. We've been working with RevJet, I think, for a little over 8 months now. And besides these kind of initial kind of shocks to our world, we were able to scale a lot of tests and and implement some really cool processes. And I think the most important one was this idea of iterative creative testing, and how we start with an ad like this, which again looks pretty similar to the design that you've seen previously. This was the first control that we developed from our work testing our creative. And after about 6-7 months, we basically evolved to this creative. This is our new control, and the one that we're running right now. The end result was approximately a 57% boost in creative performance over the times that we've been testing. So this idea of taking something that we've learned, taking the learning, applying it to the next, and then just continually testing and optimizing, for us, really paid off. And finally, all these results that we talk about, that I shared with you, the most important thing I think to us is that they're measurable. I mean, it's great that they're successful, but it's really that they're measurable. And we were able to launch over 129 individual tests in the 8 months that we've been using the OS. And from those tests, over 200 confirmed learnings, which again yielded over 57% lift in creative performance. I think of all the things that we've done, and even the surprises with the creative, I think that the most surprising thing that I saw was some of the future benefits that we got from working with Mitchell and the team. I think most importantly, we learned that being data-driven actually increases creativity, it doesn't decrease. Instead of being opinion-driven and debating over what's important, what's not important, we just run the ideas together and see what works the best. And I think that was something that was really embraced, really from executives on down. Really, really surprising too was our creative team in Poland. They were so interested in the outcome of these tests that they started asking me about campaign data and analytics. And I don't know if you've ever talked with a graphic designer before, but they're not interested in those things normally. But our team became very empowered, when it came to managing their projects and their creative. The other thing is, by us being able to launch so many creative tests and learn so many things, it shifted our paradigm and our thought from just an objective. A campaign has a certain objective and we meet it, to adding in now a test and learn component to every campaign that we run. And finally, we were able to roll the OS out to other countries very easily. The first 3 countries that I rolled this out to, it took it less than a week to really roll it out to 3 countries. So that was really a great win. Not only were we able to establish success in one country, but we were able to scale it globally. Now, what does this all mean? Again, just in conclusion, we're now making data-driven decisions and showing measurable results. We're basically being creative across the entire organization, not just the graphic designers, but the marketing planners, the media buyers, and everyone else. A campaign creation takes days, not months. Execution, hours, not days. And finally, we're able to prove the value of the media that we spent, and that was a great victory for us. And that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Stephen. We so appreciate him joining us. This was awesome. This was awesome. So, want to say thank you to everybody. Again, this is a sneak preview. So stay tuned for next week, September 19th. There will be a new website. You will see some press, but you have just seen an early glimpse into the future of marketing technology. And this, we've shown some examples today, but I want you to understand this is for every format of marketing creative. So we're talking about social, Facebook, we're talking about video, we're talking about retargeting, we're talking about display, we're talking about push, like email and such. It's going to be super cool stuff. So stay tuned and keep an eye on the website. Thank you very much.
Well, hey, thanks so much, Mitchell and Richard.